start before you're ready, right? I'm trying to get people to find joy in building.
So you're building bricks. Is this like a electronic game? Is this actual bricks I mean, like plastic bricks? What's the visualization? Help me get it in my head. What exactly it is that you're doing?
So we are doing like little bricks, right? As you can
Okay.
see here, right? We
Yeah.
are doing different sets of bricks. We are doing puzzles where people can do stuff together.
So you have a very unique and specific product that might actually be able to be sold at a chamber event.
So for me, it helped me de-stress, and I wanted to help find other people. And you realize like there's a lot of people out there on the Lego side that are building, but don't realize how to tie it to like mental wellness. You know, brick therapy is probably cheaper than a therapist right now. I'm trying to create my own experience brand where we sell sets, we do experiences, we do events, and later down the road, open up my own event space for people, for homeschool kids, after school kids, adults at night. Just a fun place for people to get together.
So if you could go back and give your younger self advice, what would it be? And it doesn't have to be financial advice. Welcome to today's Plan Assist podcast, where we help you try to make better financial decisions. And Plan Assist is not an investment. It's not a product. It's a process that's built around first principles of both building and growing wealth. And at the core of the Plan Assist process is three questions that we want to help you answer yes to. Number one, is your lifestyle aligned with your income? Number two is your income diversified and resilient? And then number three is, are you making progress on both? That's really at the core of what we're trying to do with this podcast and with Plan Assist and kind of the core process. And so whether you're doing this for individually or whether you're running a small business, like we kind of build this podcast around, those are still really three important questions. It's just more, is my business aligned with my income? So today I am super excited to welcome Wesley Klein to the podcast. Wesley is the chef joy officer at Brick Joy, a Claremont-based business built around creativity, connections, and what he calls brick therapy. So Wesley brings more than 25 years of experience in consumer electronics, design, and customer experience, and team leadership, including roles at Best Buy, Magnolia Audio Video, Vibe Systems. Today, he's going to be talking about his leadership technology, the design, what they're actually doing, and kind of how he's building this business one brick at a time. So with that, is there anything you want to add to that?
Thank you, Tim, for allowing me to be on the podcast. I am the Chief Joy Officer for Brick Joy.
Okay. So
yeah,
I got that wrong.
Yeah, I worked for Best Buy and Magnolia, part of the division for Best Buy in the leadership side for over 25 years. So yeah, a lot of great stuff, tenure on that side.
That's awesome. So tell us a little bit about what you're doing now, what Brick Joy is exactly. Why don't we start just give a quick summary and then I'll get to the kind of question, but just as an intro.
Brick Joy is a wellness brand through bricks. My goal is to get people to slow down, so kids and adults, as the world continues to spin. I'm trying to get people to find joy in building. Try to limit screens. I know screens can be used for building with bricks, but I realize that as you continue to build, your heart rate continues to get lower and you get more relaxed. And I'm trying to create my own experience brand where we sell sets, we do experiences, we do events, and later down the road, open up my own event space for people, for homeschool kids, after school kids, adults at night. Just a fun place for people to get together.
That's awesome. That sounds really exciting. So we'll get into more detail around that and kind of what you're doing and specifically who those clients might be. Before I do that, I start all my podcasts with the same question though. So if you could go back and give your younger self advice, what would it be? And it doesn't have to be financial advice.
Yeah, I think the biggest, as I look back on this for a while, I think success without a wellness isn't success, right? So like for me, I had an episode a couple of years ago where I had to take a mental break from work for a little while, and it got me to slow down. And as I continued to build with bricks, I just started to realize I can concentrate, I can focus, And I know I'm not the only one that, as I mentioned, there's a lot of stress in the world today. Everyone's experiencing it from, in the house or from work or all different avenues. I realized chasing after promotions or numbers or financial, my health is the most important for me.
That's great. That's a good look back because financial success without your health is nothing, right?
Yeah.
I heard on a podcast one of the best statements. I'm a big podcaster, and not only do I do podcasts, that's all I really watch. And there's an attorney down in Atlanta that I watch, and he had a health crisis, and he summed it up really nice because he said, you think you have 100 problems until you have a health crisis, and then you just have one.
Yeah. Well, I agree. I mean, a couple years ago, this happens. You look at life differently as you continue to grow. Time is, your enemy is probably a better way to put it.
Yeah.
As you grow with family and friends and just understanding what's important to you. That for me is trying to find a little parts of joy, just to keep the day going.
Okay, so let's go back to the to what you're doing. So you're building bricks. Is this like a electronic game? Is this actual bricks I mean like plastic bricks? What's the visualization? Help me get it in my head. What exactly it is that you're doing?
So we are doing like little bricks, right? As you can
Okay.
see here, right? We
Yeah.
are doing different sets of bricks. We are doing puzzles where people can do stuff together. All different ways of how a brick is related, right? So for me, all bricks matter. There are a lot of large companies out there that make bricks. For example, Lego, great company, out of Denmark, makes some phenomenal stuff. But there are other companies that do stuff with plants, that does stuff with animals. So, everyone finds joy differently. For me, it's like, how do you slow down and just build with bricks? We're working on an event right now called Bricks and Blooms, where you build your own planter out of bricks and you put live plants in there. And you actually, so making an event here in Orlando, probably in the next couple months, you'll probably start seeing it soon.
And so when you say bricks, it doesn't always mean really physical bricks, but it could mean physical bricks.
Plastic bricks, just like I
Okay.
said, just think of it like
So it's
Lego.
Lego kind of, only there are different sizes and different, processes that you're doing it around some whatever
Right,
it makes
right.
you gives you joy.
Yeah, Lego compatible. We'll probably put it, probably a better way to put it. So
Okay.
yes, yeah. So they come in all different shapes and sizes.
Uh-huh.
For us, we're just making designs that people get excited about and just get people to slow down. We're printing most of our stuff on paper. We have a lot of joyful messages, so positivity, because a kid might be reading it, an adult might read it. They might just need something in their life just to kickstart them or get them going.
Okay, so for those of you listening, Wesley and I met at 1 Million Cup. So we do a lot of people that are from 1 Million Cup on the interviews because it's such a really good audience, number one. Number two, the people that are presenting on 1 Million Cups have a tendency to kind of have something new out there. So they're kind of wired to what's going on in the business world. Did you give your 1 Million Cup presentation?
I did. I
You
did
did?
about 6 weeks ago. From that presentation, they were very big on doing events, partnering with the corporate side
Okay.
of it. Right, think of it from the corporate teams need to slow down. They need to communicate, and learn from each other or work with each other. So working on the corporate event side of it that we're working on right now. Working on the website design. So the website's up right now. The shop part of it should be live at the beginning of July. We are working on creating boxes of joy to be shipped to people. So if somebody's having a bad day, you, a partner, somebody at work, you can actually ship boxes of joy. My goal is to deliver them in Lake County same day. So if you order from us by a certain time, we'll deliver to you same day, which is pretty hard to do. If not, ship it to you in the U.S. in a couple days. So think of a box of joy for a family member that's having a birthday, or somebody that's going to one of the theme parks in Orlando. You know,
That's
we can
awesome.
we can
So
customize
it's
it.
really kind of a unique
Yes.
idea. How'd you come up with this idea?
I mean, like I said, I came up a couple years ago. I had a mental episode at work, had to take some time off. I realized I needed to slow down as I was building, we'll call it Lego sets.
Uh-huh.
They're all over my house right now. It allowed me to get my heart rate down. Saw some doctors and just realized, like, as I mentioned, like, hey, I'm not the only one in this. I can't be the only one, in the world that, has some of these issues that are coming up. So for me, it helped me de-stress, and I wanted to help find other people. And you realize, like, there's a lot of people out there on the Lego side that are building, but don't realize how to tie it to like mental wellness. Brick therapy is probably cheaper than a therapist right now.
Right. Yeah, no, that's a great idea. And is brick therapy a thing, or is that something you invented?
There is Lego therapy that's out
Oh,
there.
is that right? So it
Yeah,
is
yeah.
a thing.
There's a thing out there. You think
Yeah.
about, if you have a kid or an adult that just maybe has a hard time speaking up, very shy, very timid, putting them in a room while they're building, getting them to stay focused, gets people to open up and relax, listen to calm music, maybe having something to drink and just finding that joy and just spending time doing what you enjoy, what's out there.
So did someone tell you to use the Lego? It started with kind of doing Lego, and then you thought, you know what, I'm going to make this bigger and more personal and more local.
Yep. Yep. I mean, as I mentioned, for me, all bricks matter. There are a lot of companies out there that make some really cool sets that are Lego compatible. So I want to, my goal being here in Orlando and being in Claremont is to try to have sets you can't find at a normal place you walk into. If you walk into like a big box retailer, they're not going to have it on the store. I want to be different and unique. The shop long term, when I want to open, is just a event space where people love to come, right? We want to have a great beverage selection. We want to do ice cream. We want to do coffee. We just want to have long term is open our own space here in Orlando, and then just make it, I said, for homeschool kids, after school kids, adults,
Yeah.
and
How
just sell
cool.
things that are just not the norm.
Yeah.
Right? You make it different and fun, where like,
And local.
and local, and definitely local. I love being here in Claremont. We were at the Citrus Tower a couple days ago. We had a lot of people came by our booth, said they enjoyed, what we're offering, and they want to learn more. So that's where we're at right now.
How cool. Okay, so who this podcast kind of has a tendency to reach is that solopreneur that I don't know if you know or not, but 34 million businesses are registered with the Small Business Administration in the federal government. And out of that, just over 28 million of those 34 million are just singlepreneurs. No, they have no employees. They're just running their business. So that's a big chunk of the people that we're talking to. What are some of the opportunity, but also small business and mid-size. So it could be salespeople, could be exactly what you're talking about, the exact group, but just so you kind of know the focus of the audience or who I'm trying to reach. So with that said, what are some of like the opportunities and challenges that you see some of these businesses reaching as you're out talking to and trying to build a business and then basically talking to different businesses within Claremont? What are some of the
I mean, two things I've learned in the last couple of months. Number one, community is a competitive advantage.
okay.
Being involved in the community, going to community events, partner with your local chamber, meeting people, so many different people outside of your norm, outside of your comfort zone, or outside of your circle, allows you to get real insight. Is probably a better way to put it. If you're on track or off track of what you're at. And then the other thing is start before you're ready, right? Jump into it. If you have an idea, whatever it can be from selling lemonade, it could be to, making designs for postcards. Just jump into it, right? Time is your enemy, right? We're not getting younger. We haven't figured out that yet. So like, let get involved, start before you're, so jump in there, start before you're ready, and continue to just, your word of mouth, meet people and network has always been
Okay.
great. The 1 million cups, that event's been great. I've been attending them every Wednesday. The local Lake County or South Lake County Chamber's been phenomenal. Be part of that. So just getting actively involved in different events and meeting different people outside of your circle.
And then, so those are opportunities. What are some of the challenges that you're hearing from some of those businesses as you
I mean,
engage and network with them?
so one of my biggest challenges right now is, as a startup, working with banks, trying, pitching ideas. It's not a coffee shop. It's not an ice cream shop. It's not a toy store. Like we're trying to do all these different avenues in one. We're finding the right possibly investor or two that has unique or different needs for myself is what I'm, going into right now. Somebody that, offset my strengths. And then, and part of it is, everyone believes in the idea. They love it. And I think that's why we're talking today. It's unique. It's different. It's here in Claremont. Continue to go there every day, wake up every day. Yeah, there might be stress. There might be other avenues. But as we continue to move forward in this world, people want to help the small businesses out to help them grow.
So challenge number one is funding. That
Yeah.
sounds like one of the big things you're bumping into. Are you hearing that from some of the other people you're networking with as well?
I am, as for me, I mean, we're brand new. We registered at the end of January, but we didn't really start doing events for probably a couple weeks ago. I started attending networking events probably for the last 2 or 3 months just to make sure my idea was there. I'm starting to build captive audience on social media through Facebook and Instagram, which is good. We're starting to see people show up to events like, "Hey, we saw you last week." So the word of mouth, Brandon's starting to get there. Um, and we're just continuing just to partner with the right companies, especially for me being in Orlando. Citrus Towers here, Lakewood Winery is here, like some places that we're trying to work with to help grow the brand.
That's cool. That's a good idea. So helping people listening to this is let's spend a minute on the chamber. That's a really good example of what I would call a way to get a network. But a lot of people don't understand how to get the most from a chamber event. And I'll kind of set this up and kind of give you my opinion, and then you can totally disagree or agree or go through a process. When I first started my business, I'd spent a bunch of time in corporate. Then I started my own, and I'm a solopreneur, right? So I have my own practice. I don't have any employees, and I started all that. I started all the networking, went chambers, went to 1 million Cup, all that stuff, and a lot of them wasn't working. Okay, it just wasn't. And though I was meeting a lot of people, and I was building my network, and I was talking through a process, it wasn't generating business. And I sat down with someone who'd been doing it for decades. And he gave me the most interesting insight that I'll be curious what you think about it. I said, I'm not getting this chamber thing to work. And he goes, what are you talking about? And I said, well, I'm going to the chamber and going to the thing. He goes, Tim, he goes, that's not how you build chamber relationships. He goes, the chamber's no different than when you were in corporate. He goes, you need to be first of all, go to all the events and then lead the events. And then once you lead the events, get on some committees. And then once you're on the committees, get on the board, right? And you'll start on some of the smaller boards and then you move up. He goes, it's just like in corporate America where in order to really make an organization like the chamber work, it's not just this showing up. It's this, how do you actually integrate into that organization? And that includes becoming a leader at some point, right? Which like he said, he goes, this is not a 1 year exercise. This is a multi-year, in many cases, decade long kind of process to really make the chamber work. And he goes, now if you go do that, all of a sudden you'll wake up and say, oh my gosh, that was the best interaction I've ever had. And that's where I got most of my business. What's your opinion about that? Or
I mean, thinking about it, I mean, it goes back to who not what you do, right? So I think it's all about relationships,
uh
right? Working for Best Buy, for 25 years, you build a lot of relationships where if you need to get something done, you can pick up a phone and call somebody, and things can happen. Joining the chamber, I've been there for a few months. I've met different people. It's selling, like you mentioned, right? And leadership.
oh, no
Um,
question, it's selling.
I need to find the niche on what is unique to people. A lot of people are parents and trying to find stuff for their kids to do. I offer that kind of solution. I need for the parents who are wound up every day and just need a place to relax and disconnect. I have a place for them also. I can do events down the road, birthday parties, or so I connect a lot more dots. And as I continue to meet people, tell people my story about how I got to where I am today,
Uh-huh.
it allows they want my cards, they want to follow me, they want to know more about me, right?
Right.
I'm trying to do stuff on the business side where I can print logos or on the back of stuff, as you can see here, right? I can print company logos, I can do anything, so I can solve a need. I did problem solving for Best Buy for a long time. You learn how to solve a lot of stuff, refrigerators, and deliveries and all XXX, we'll call it that.
So you have a very unique and specific product that might actually be able to be sold at a chamber event in a shorter window. But I just want to kind of reiterate that people listening to this need to understand that the chamber is a very, very good organization to be a part of, but typically it's not the tail of which the selling cycle is a much longer selling cycle than most people realize. They don't go into it. If you're selling insurance, you're selling financial services like me, you're going through, those are 3, 4 year selling cycles. Those are go in and be part of a bunch of groups and da da da. I guess it is a little different. So by bringing it up with you is probably not right, fair, but because what you're doing, you have a product and that's unique and different. But for the majority of people, the chamber is a fantastic model, but they need to think in terms of longer term.
I think it's just, I mean, it's just relationships, getting to know somebody, getting to know their family,
Yeah,
uh,
that's right.
showing
And
up
then
for
how
them,
do you do that?
showing up to multiple events where you not just know that person's name, you know what's going on in that person's life, and just it takes time in that sales cycle like that's out there. It's just meeting people every day, right?
Yeah, that's a good point.
I go to a chamber event at least once a week. I try to go to other community events 2 or 3 times a week, or other networking events, and I see some of those similar people in those networking groups, and we've got closer together. And I can bounce ideas off of them. They can bounce ideas off of me. Where it's not just like, hey, hi Tim, and that's it. Like we get to get more personable, and as we're getting more personable, we're helping to solve each other's why we're here and
Yeah.
continue to grow together.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I think that kind of sums up kind of what I was probably trying to say a little simpler. So, what else do you kind of see from a building your business perspective? So you're doing the chambers, you're doing the networking. If someone else is listening to this, it's a small business that not startup necessarily, but just in business, what are some other avenues that you're exploring based on your experience from
I mean,
Best Buy?
yeah, I mean, I'm not an expert on a lot of different things. I mean, so for me, I'm learning like website design, social media, just finding the right avenues to, on what's most important to you. Social media is huge these days, right? It's the easiest way or easiest cost effective way to get your brand out there. How do you connect? How do you do stuff different? That's not the norm. You have all these large companies that have a lot of money to build their brand. So
Yeah,
like
no
it's how do
question.
you get out there and do something different that the people aren't seeing, and then how do you resonate, well, with different audiences. I think that's the hardest part right now. Is like for me, I can resonate through a lot of different audiences. Boys, girls, kids, adults. Mother, father. Like I can fit those different balances, and that's what I'm trying to figure out right now on what's the most important. Like I said, we do farmers markets. We got a lot of kids and some adults coming. We're trying to do flip the script in July to start doing events for like 18 plus.
Now,
Um,
so I got a good question for you that'll kind of build on this. So are you collecting emails, phone numbers? What's like the list that you're building to start sending people or start
yeah,
marketing to them? What's that look like for you?
I'm using so my point of sale is Square. We're using Square for the shop site.
Okay.
We're building emails through Square. You have loyalty and marketing built into that.
Uh-huh.
But as we go to events, we're scanning QR codes. We're collecting that data on our website on brickjoy.co or brickjoy.com. You can enter that data. I'm swapping business cards at every networking event and enter them into a database.
Okay.
So I'm
This,
finding different ways, and then we'll start marketing every week, an email list, to them. Here's our social media sites. Here's our products of the week, and just here's the events that are happening,
yeah.
and
Good.
continue to repeat that as we start repeating stuff on social media every day, like Wellness Wednesday. Start talking about how brick therapy can help you slow down. Mosaic
Yeah.
Monday, as we do different things that way.
That's awesome. That's a great idea. Okay, so we'll shift. You want any more questions on that? Do you have anything you want to finish up on that
No,
subject or go through?
no, there's just so much. I feel like the brand is in the middle, and there's this giant circle that continues to spin and spin. So for me, like I can see like the end, and it's just
Uh-huh.
how do I slow myself down to the beginning. I think that's the other part for small business owners is how do you stay present when you see the future.
Yeah, that's good. That's everyone's biggest challenge is staying present.
Yeah.
I mean, in fact, that's probably the single biggest kind of tell for people that are successful. They have a tendency to be really good at being present, where other people are kind of distracted by all kinds of stuff. Okay, so let's shift gears and talk about kind of to kind of get finish up on what's especially with your background. I'm curious, how are you using AI? What do you see as AI to help you build your business, and how are you using it?
I've been using Chat GPT a lot as you come up with so many different ideas. How do you frame them together? I'm working right now as we're starting to roll out events for July. We're starting to do bricks and bites events. So, you build while you have a bite. So, so we're trying to frame that up with coffee also. So bricks, brews, and bites. So
Yeah,
we're
that's a
we're
good
talking
idea.
to a local coffee shop and a local cookie company here in the Lake County area. And part of it is maybe do like a cookie sampling with a couple flavors, with a beverage and some bricks to build. So just I'm using AI to help create a flyer that makes sense. Running numbers through AI, like, hey, here's the cost that I buy this product for. Here's the cost of, like, my cost of goods sold, and then, hey, how much profit am I going to make from it, or where we're at, and like what's a good ticket price for that stuff. So I use it a lot. I mean, I use it daily just to run ideas by. I also try to save images. So if I create an idea, I'll save that image and I'll save it to my phone so I can go back and look at it. As you continue to run through 20 or 30 different ideas a day through AI. As I said, I continue to think in the future. How do I stay present? I'll save those pictures to my phone. I go back, and then every week I'll ask AI to create me what we talked about all week.
Oh, that's a great idea. So, so that's the biggest thing that I see happening with solopreneurs is, and small businesses specifically. I need to make sure I always add them to the group. Is AI isn't going to take our jobs. It's going to create a competitive advantage. It's almost like we hire an employee for all those little tasks, right? I mean, it gives us the productivity gains that we wouldn't have without hiring someone, right? I mean, but we get it kind of almost real time and immediately because how you use it's real similar to what I do. I use it, flyer. I help it with my emails. Like the email I sent you, kind of what's this about? I run that through AI and it cleans it up. And even if people know I'm using AI, it doesn't matter because it goes to messaging, right? It goes
Yep.
to how do you make this as simple and productive as possible.
Yep. No, 100%. I mean, I use it on a daily basis. It works well. There's sometimes there's flaws,
Uh-huh.
but like, it just, as you're a entrepreneur trying to grow, you can't, if you have tax questions, if you have anything, at least, maybe some legal questions. I'm not saying to use it 100%, as your lawyer, but at least run the ideas by there. I was trying to figure out insurance for the booths, right? For doing the farmers markets, right? Trying to figure it out, and it gave me an idea of what it should be. So then when I reached out to a insurance agent, their prices were a lot more. It just didn't make any sense. So I then reached out to a different insurance agent, and the prices came in line. I'm like, you know what, that makes sense and stuff like that. So use it to question different things that are happening in life.
And I think that's the biggest thing is I don't use it to give me answers. I use it to give me what questions should I be asking. So like you said, for an attorney, it's not I'm looking for it to give me legal advice. I'm looking for it to give me what are the right way. If I'm going to pay an attorney 200 or 300 bucks an hour, I want to know here's the three questions I want answered. I want the answer from an attorney who's responsible and knowledgeable, but I don't want to waste 20 questions to get to the two or three I need to answer. Where AI can help me kind of bring that in and say, okay, here's the 5 questions to consider.
Yeah, just like how we're doing this podcast today, I'm looking to create videos online on YouTube called One Brick at a Time,
Uh-huh.
where I interview people around the community and we build together on camera. And I ask about 10 questions. So I used AI to help filter those questions that make sense. You
Exactly.
know, and I'm UPS right now is building out that board, or at least getting it printed so I can start shooting videos in the next few weeks.
Oh, that's a great idea. That's a really good idea. Well,
So
good. All right.
maybe we can build together on the other side of the camera.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely. We'll stay and grab coffee sometime, kind of face to face. We've met, I know, when we're at 1 Million Cup, but so what else? Do you have anything else you want to add to it or summarize kind of the call? And remember who we're talking to is kind of
Yeah,
that small business person. Is there anything
yeah.
you want to kind of finish up? And then how
Uh,
do people get a hold of you? That's the last piece.
my biggest is just through social media. If you go to brickjoy, I said
Okay.
.yo, the contact's there. You can send me an email. It goes to my phone. I respond pretty quickly, unless it's late at night when I get my sleep. I'm always open for ideas, right? Like, I can't do this alone. So leadership is, it's I don't have all the answers, or and how to grow this. So, like, I'm always asking questions, and if you have great ideas about how to get Brick Joy to continue to grow, please reach out. That's the best I can put it.
That's awesome. All right. Well, thanks a lot. I really appreciate it. It was a fun conversation, Wesley. I enjoyed the conversation. Thanks again.
Thank you, Tim.